Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a really deep dive into the Plaud AI 2026 hardware-software ecosystem. We're going to explore a journey that I know a lot of you are probably on right now, or honestly, desperately want to be on. And that's the transition from absolute administrative burnout to total workflow liberation. Let's get into it. So let's kick things off with a number that's probably going to make you wince a little bit. $600. Based on our source data, a consultant billing an average of $150 an hour loses exactly $600 of billable time every single week. How? Literally just by doing manual transcriptions, writing out meeting minutes, and trying to organize action items. That is a massive, relentless hit to your productivity, to your energy, and obviously the most important part, your wallet. So how do we actually stop bleeding all that time and money? Well, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The meeting fatigue problem. 2. Hardware versus software apps. 3. Capturing audio anywhere. 4. AI templates and processing. 5. Privacy and legal consent. And 6. Measuring the ROI. I promise you, by the end of this explainer, we'll have covered the tech, the legal reality, and the hard financial numbers.
Section 1. The meeting fatigue problem. Let's talk about exactly why we feel so completely drained at the end of the workday.
To really grasp this, we have to talk about a concept called cognitive offloading. You know that terrible feeling when you're trying to genuinely listen to someone, but you're also frantically trying to write down what they just said? A study published by the National Institutes of Health found that this triggers what they call a split attention effect. Your brain is quite literally torn between active listening and simple dictation. But by delegating that raw capture to technology, you instantly drop that extraneous cognitive load. You free up your working memory for what actually matters, which is active listening and strategic planning. Cognitive scientist Dr. Sarah Jenkins actually hit the nail on the head here. She says, delegating transcriptions to ambient hardware frees up active working memory, allowing professionals to focus on strategic negotiation rather than simple documentation. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that your daily meeting fatigue, it's entirely validated by brain science. You aren't just imagining it. This isn't just an excuse to play with a shiny new gadget, it's about fundamentally preserving your mental energy for high-level work. Section 2, Hardware versus Software Apps. Let's tackle the elephant in the room. Why buy a physical device when your smartphone already has a perfectly good recording app? If we trace the history of voice recording, it's actually a super fascinating evolution. Back from 2018 to 2022, we were deeply in the software era. We relied heavily on cloud apps that were totally at the mercy of network connections. And we've all felt the pain of a dropped signal during a really important call. But then in 2023, the massive Kickstarter success of the original physical Plaud Note proved that people genuinely wanted a dedicated physical shortcut. And now, tracking from 2024 to 2026, we are officially in the wearable era. We're talking lightweight, local, offline first capture. Dedicated wearables are absolutely not a step backward to old-school dictaphones. They're the proven logical next step in productivity tech. Think about the everyday friction of using software for this. You're constantly unlocking screens, searching around for apps, and dealing with a frustrating 15-second delay where you basically miss the entire opening statement of a meeting. Not to mention the fast battery drain and those dreaded phone call interruptions that just flat out stop your recording. Contrast that frustrating mess with dedicated hardware. You get one single tactile button press. You get dedicated microphone arrays tuned specifically for human voices, local storage, and independent battery. It is a night and day difference between fumbling with your phone and instantly capturing exactly what you need.
Section 3. Capturing audio anywhere. So, what does this actually look like in practice, depending on your work environment?
Our sources outline a pretty impressive 2026 product lineup, mainly because different jobs require totally different physical tools. If you're in an office environment, you've got the Plaud Note Pro. It's card-shaped, perfect for slipping right into a wallet or snapping onto the back of your phone. It's got a 15-foot microphone range with beamforming and a multi-day battery for those brutal all-day conferences. But if you're constantly on the move, like a real estate agent or a healthcare worker, there's the Plaud NotePin S. It's this tiny, pill-shaped wearable weighing just 17.4 grams. It even has a physical press-to-highlight button, so you can literally bookmark a key moment mid-conversation. It's all about matching the hardware to how you actually move through your day.
Now, what about phone calls? Because let's be real, recording phone calls has traditionally been a complete nightmare. But the engineering workaround here is brilliantly simple. First, you attach the device magnetically to your phone. Next, you toggle the physical switch over to call recording mode. Then, you just answer your call normally. No awkward speakerphone needed. Finally, hit record.
The device uses this incredible vibration conduction sensor, or VCS, to capture the audio through the physical vibrations of your phone's internal speaker. This hardware-first approach effortlessly bypasses the call recording blocks that Apple and Google build into their operating systems, and it does it without any clunky software integrations.
Section 4. AI templates and processing. Because capturing the raw audio is really just half the battle, right? Turning that audio into usable data comes down to a really seamless desktop workflow. Let's say you're about to hop on a massive video conference. First, launch the app right before the meeting starts. Next, select your microphone and system audio sources. Then, you just record locally directly on your machine. Whenever you're ready, you upload that file to the secure cloud for processing. The reason this local recording workflow is so brilliant is that it completely bypasses those overzealous corporate IT departments that block virtual meeting bots like Otter or Fireflies. You get all the transcription benefits without ever triggering an alert or creeping out your clients with a mysterious bot sitting in the virtual meeting room.
Once the audio is secured, the LLM processing kicks in. The ecosystem integrates OpenAI Whisper for ridiculously accurate transcription, and it's powered by heavy hitters like GPT-4 and Claude. We're talking support for over 112 languages and a library of over 10,000 role-specific templates. There's even an Ask Plaud contextual search feature. This completely solves the problem of output clutter. When an AI just hands you a giant unreadable wall of text. Instead, the system automatically spits out perfectly formatted medical intakes, legal briefs, or software updates, tailored exactly to your specific job.
Section 5. Privacy and legal consent. Okay, let's get serious for a second, because with all this sensitive data, we absolutely have to talk about compliance.
If you work in a regulated field, you need to hear this next point. Corporate Privacy Officer Mark Marcus lays it out clearly. He states, zero training policies are essential for compliance. Hardware recorders must guarantee that captured data is not processed to train third-party LLMs. That is a massive level of reassurance. Your proprietary, highly confidential meeting data is strictly partitioned off. It is never, ever used to feed public AI models. Your intellectual property stays yours.
Building right on top of that, the whole system runs on strict enterprise security protocols. You've got that zero training policy and local device encryption. It's SOC 2 compliant, meets rigorous GDPR and ISO 27001 standards, and even features HIPAA clinical compliance tools. These aren't just buzzwords. These are the objective security facts that make it actually possible to use these devices safely in highly regulated spaces like finance and healthcare.
But legal compliance also means respecting the people sitting in the room with you. Based on legal analysis from Littler Mendelsohn PC, you have to be really smart about workplace recording laws. You have one-party consent where only one person, usually you, needs to agree to the recording, versus two-party consent, which is the law in states like California, Florida, and Massachusetts. Two-party means every single person on the call has to agree. Because of that, it is incredibly important to openly display your physical recording badge and make sure your company has clear, standardized recording policies so everyone is always on the right side of the law. Section 6. Measuring the ROI. Let's bring this all the way back around to your wallet. What's the true cost of convenience?
We started this explainer by talking about losing money. So let's look at how we make it back. Enterprise ROI specialist, Thalassa Dev, sums it up perfectly. For a consultant billing $150 per hour, saving just 15 minutes of manual note-taking per day pays off the hardware investment within the first 2 weeks. When you actually do the math, the upfront hardware cost and the ongoing subscription for the advanced processing features are instantly justified the second you start recovering that lost billable time.
The contrast is honestly stark. You're choosing between bleeding hundreds of dollars in lost time every single week on manual administrative chores versus a minimal, predictable cost for automated transcription. When you start treating your time as a literal, measurable asset, this kind of automation essentially pays for itself in no time. Which leaves us with this final, somewhat provocative thought. As future voice devices transition away from just being simple recorders and turn into proactive project managers, tools that can seamlessly talk to your calendar, update your project boards, and even draft your follow-up emails, what else are you going to cognitively offload? We are truly just scratching the surface of what ambient AI can do for us. I highly recommend taking a hard look at your own schedule today and asking yourself, what exhausting tasks can I hand over to technology right now? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.